We'll take a data set, add it into the system, and get it to scan. What it's now doing is uploading, ingesting data, looking at the schema, profiling the columns, tabs, any data in there, trying to figure out what's what, what's dates, what's revenue, what's products, what's important to the business. It'll then look for errors and inconsistencies in the data. It'll then create database tables with structured data, KPI, calculated summaries, and maps all data relationships. It removes all identifiable information, addresses, emails, telephones, and creates anonymous tables. So things like FP&A consulting may become vendor one, and so on. That's for later on when we do the API call. When the information comes back, it's reconsolidated back to the original customer names or person names. This is AI assist, not complete AI analysis. If any of you have done any large, complicated projects with AI systems, you'll know that it can tend to confidently hallucinate and give you answers that are not necessarily correct, but it gives them in a way that sounds like it knows what it's talking about. You never feed the full Excel file into the AI system. We generate tables, facts, figures, summaries separately before it goes to the AI. We then generate a packet of facts and calculated information. This is then assembled into a prompt and passed via an API call to the AI. We do have the option for a local AI version where we'll run a smaller model on the computer that is doing the analysis. Now that's great if you have a very high security, very high risk situation, but because of the way we anonymize data and control what data gets passed to the AI, it's not really necessary, but it's there as an option. The downside of that is you're working with a smaller AI, smaller LLM model, so the quality of the responses is going to be reduced. You're much more reliant on the system that you're running it on, so if it's a basic laptop, it's going to run slower, as well as you'll be forced to use a much smaller system. As far as data security and concerns about passing confidential information via an API call, OpenAI, like most of these companies, state that API business data is not used to train their models by default unless a customer explicitly opts in. They do retain the information for a short period, but this is for compliance and for abuse detection. Make sure the systems are not being used for anything they shouldn't. The AI will then build the narrative and analysis around the data that we've fed it, the figures from the database tables. This avoids the confident BS that you can sometimes get from these systems. Once done, it gives us information in a few sections. It gives an executive overview where it'll pick out what it considers to be the most relevant bits of information, a few notes on areas that may or may not be correct. It will tell us what the data looks like, so which tabs it is taking as being the absolute truth, which tabs it is going to use for data analysis, and what's contained within the other tabs and where the relevance to the information for the business is. It then gives us what it considers to be the data quality and readiness. So any issues or flags or information that it spots as maybe needing more attention, it will highlight. So things like unusual spikes, any information that looks a little bit out of the norm, where it's making assumptions on what data is linked to what data by what denominator. It then gives us an overview of anything that we may have corrected for this analysis. So in this case, we're looking at dates and also what is potentially still risk within the file and should be looked at. A standard computed KPI list, what it believes are the top drivers for the business, a little bit of an overview of how the business is made up, areas and outliers that it thinks need further investigation, some suggestions on questions that need answering, and what should be our next steps. It then gives us a more detailed analysis on these highlighted or flagged bits of information, so things like large monthly spikes. We also have a full breakdown of each of the, in this case, the 11 total, so it's picked out 10 which are medium flags and 1 low. It gives us more information on exactly what those are and where we should look, including information on which tab it's contained and what the column is. From there, we can start interrogating the data and get some good information back from it. So I can ask a very simple question. Again, it builds a prompt based on the information that's being ingested into our database tables, sends that prompt via API, returns a response and gives us an answer. So a very basic overview. We can then start getting into a little bit more detail. I'm not going to read through each of these, but feel free to pause and read through any information that you think may be of interest to you. Now from there we'll move on to what the CEO may be interested in. And of course, any of these tables are Excel friendly. So I can take this, copy it, drop it into Excel. And when you're finished with your analysis, you can print off a report. That'll generate a PDF with the overview, your questions, and any edits that I think may be in the file. So, done.